G'day everyone, I'm Dirkel and welcome to my first episode of my Space Engineers Let's Play series. Today we're going to be starting off a new world at Space Engineers. I've played this game quite a bit, but I haven't played in a while, so I might be a bit rusty as we start things off. Given that, I'm going to try and structure this first episode in an educational sort of way, to help any new players that might be starting up in this game. I'm going to go through the reasons why I'm doing things, the mechanics of the game, and some tips I've learnt during my time playing this game, which I hope you can take on board to improve your own gameplay. Alright, so this is the main screen of the game. We're just going to be creating a new game. We're going to be creating a custom game. On the side here is all the different starting arrangements you can choose from. I'm going to be choosing Star System because you essentially start with nothing. I'm going to give it a name. We're going to be playing Survival. I'm going to add in one mod called Ship Speed Increase, as that'll help increase the speed of the ships. And then in advance, these are just the standard settings. I'm going to be playing with all of them. Except for sound mode, I'll change to realistic. Other than that, I'm just going to leave them as they are, and you can check them out there if you want. Other than that, we just start. Alright, here we are. Now we have to choose where we want to start the game from. We could start like in the Earth, on the Moon, in space, that sort of thing. I'm going to start on the Moon. Its difficulty is a bit harder starting here. We've got no oxygen, and the gravity is a bit less as well. So I want a bit of a challenge, so we're going to start there. Alright, here we are on the Moon. We start in our little rover. On the rover, we've got a battery to give us power, got a gyroscope so we can steer, we've got an oxygen hydrogen generator to keep us alive for the moment, and we've got a survival kit, which is essentially a pseudo refinery, assembler, storage unit, that sort of thing, just to get us started before we get a proper base going. So I'm going to just start looking around a bit. Going to start exploring the Moon, maybe try and find some iron, and I'll come back to you once we make a start on things. I'm just going to chat over this quick time lapse. Essentially what I'm trying to do is find a location with a few ores nearby, which will help get us started. The ore detector on the buggy will highlight any nearby ore deposits for us. Also, just to note, this buggy has a thruster on the bottom, which I can turn on and off to help slow our fall. You'll see I use it quite a bit while driving around on the Moon to help us. And with that, we found some ores, so let's jump back into it. Alright, so I just found some iron, some cobalt, and some nickel. So you can see that our ore detector's picking them up under the ground. 20 meters, 30 meters under the ground, so a bit difficult to get to, but it should be alright. So I'm thinking I'll set up a bit of a base here. I'll pull out my drill, and I'm going to start collecting a few resources. Just for any new players out there, when mining with your drill, use your left mouse button to mine the ores, but then you need to spam click the F key to pick them up and put them into your inventory. If you mine with the right mouse button, you instead destroy the ore, which can be useful if you don't want to use them, like for example stone. Alright, so I was just about to start building a base, and then I realized that the only way to get power early game is with the sun and solar panels, and the sun just went behind the Moon, because I've got day-night cycle turned on, so we are now chasing the sun. So I've set up a bit of a temporary base, or a starter base. Got some solar panels up here in front of the sun. I have stopped the sun from doing the day-night cycle because it was being an absolute pain having to wait 2 hours for the sun to come back up. So it's just frozen for the moment, and once I get a more permanent power source up and running, I'll turn that back on. Just it's too hard for the moment. Down here, I've moved my survival kit over here, so if we die we respawn here. I've set up a basic refinery. Behind here I've got a basic assembler, and I've got a small cargo container to store all my stuff in. I've upgraded my tools now, so we've gone, these are the basic tools here, and in production, in the basic assembler under tools, I've been able to upgrade them to the enhanced ones. So I've got them, that's good. Got a bit of resources going. The refinery is maxed out with ores at the moment. Turn them into ingots. And over here I've built a small little ship. The buggy was a bit of a pain driving around, so this will be a bit faster. It's got a big cargo container on it, so that'll help us fly around, get the resources, bring them back to the base here. I was still building it, ran out of resources. I can just show you it here. It's quite nippy, flies around pretty fast, and yeah, we should be able to accelerate our progress quite a bit with it. And yeah. So my plans from here are to finish up the small spaceship there, collect a bunch of resources, expand this starter base out a little bit, and then I'll come back to you with a few of my plans for this series. Progress has been made. Alright, here we go. I've set up a bit more of a starter base now. This is what we had previously with the basic assembler, basic refinery, that sort of thing. I've now come and built, got a large cargo container. I'll just walk you through it. I've got a battery here that's getting charged from the solar panels. Over here we've got a proper refinery, an oxygen hydrogen generator, which converts ice into oxygen and hydrogen, which is stored here in the hydrogen tank and the oxygen tank. Here we've got a, what's it called? Hydrogen engine, which can convert that hydrogen into power if we need it to help charge the battery if the solar panel is not enough. Then over here we've got two assemblers, which convert. So the refinery takes ores and turns them into ingots. The assemblers take the ingots and turn them into components that we need. So in here we've got the assemblers. These are all the components we can make for building things with, like interior plates, large steel tubes, that sort of thing. All of that gets conveyed along these conveyors and stored in the large chest over here. I've also made another landing spot for my small scout plane over there to drop off any resources it picks up, and that's all connected together. Yeah. Alright, so we've got a bit of a basic base set up now, and I want to just run you through some of the goals that I have for this series. So I've made a list of the short-term goals just here. So one, set up a temporary starter base. I think we're almost there. There's a few extra things I want to add, like a second refinery, second oxygen generator, that sort of thing. Oh, sorry, O2 oxygen hydrogen generator, those sorts of things. But it's mostly set up a basic base now, so that's good. Next thing, build a small drilling ship. So yes, we've got a small scout ship over there. I want to make another one that's got some drills in the front that we can use to start mining some resources, mainly ice. We need a lot of ice. Make a lot of hydrogen. At the moment it's a bit hard just running around with a hand drill. I want a ship that can drill that a lot faster for us. And then we'll go to a large drilling ship, which, yeah, so I'll just explain that actually. These blocks here, these are large blocks, and these here are the small blocks. So there's two different sizes of blocks you can build. That ship over there is a small ship, and obviously this whole base here is using large blocks. So yeah, the next step 3, is going to be going and building a drilling ship using the large blocks. It's a lot bigger, uses a lot more resources, but can obviously mine a lot more as well. Alright, number 4 is to start planning out a mega base on the moon. My plan is, in this big crater here that we've set up in, I'm going to start setting up a huge mega base in here. And so yeah, that step there is planning it out, getting all the scaffolding down, like these blocks here, all the scaffolding. And then step 5 will be actually building it. It might take a while and take a lot of resources, but we're going to slowly build a huge mega base in this crater here on the moon. And then after that, step 5 is we're going to build a large spacefaring transport ship to get us from here and into space. Later on in the series, I want to try and avoid doing any sort of refining work up in space. I want to be more reliant on my mega base down here, give me a reason to keep coming back. So yeah, I'm going to try and we'll go up to space, we'll collect resources from asteroids, but we're going to bring it all back down here to our mega base on the moon for actually refining it and processing it, that sort of thing. So there's some of the short-term goals. And then over here, I've made a bit of a list of some of the long-term goals I want to get to. So firstly, finishing off the mega base on the moon, obviously, that's quite a big project. It's probably the first long-term goal that we'll get done. After that, we'll move on to such things as building an outpost out in space on an asteroid, probably pretty close to the moon so we can get to it reasonably quickly, but we'll have a second outpost out there, and then we'll start work on a mega ship up in space to start conquering all of space, all the stars, all the planets. I want to try and visit every planet. There's obviously the Earth there, there's another one in the distance. I believe there's, actually I'm not sure, there's at least 1, 2, maybe 3 other planets as well that we can't see. I want to try and actually get to all of them, actually land on them, and set foot on every planet. Next one, we're actually building a small outpost on the surface of every planet. So as we go, as we visit them, we'll drop down there, build a bit of an outpost, and then head on to the next one. And then our last goal will just be to fly into the sun, which you can see over there, which, to be honest, is actually impossible because you can never reach it, but we'll see how we go. Alright, so we've actually got a bit more power and stuff set up now. We're not too reliant on solar panels, so I'm going to turn the day-night cycle back on. Just make it a bit more, I don't know, realistic, whatever, a bit more atmosphere going on. And yeah, I'm gonna start off building the small drilling ship, and I'll come back as and let you know how I'm going with that. I'm just about to make a start on this small drilling ship, so I wanted to bring you back and just show a few of the key design elements that I go through when building a ship like this. So the first thing is you have to start off with a landing gear, and then you have to build the ship around that. So that way the landing gear, even though it's not built, it still connects it to this framework here that I built. And then a few things that you have to consider when building a ship is. So here we have a gyroscope. Every ship needs a gyroscope, at least one. And that allows you to turn left and right, up and down, and rotate as well around your axes. Oop, that's a big thruster. What's going on? There we go. So these are the thrusters. You need to make sure you have at least one thruster in every direction, including up and down. Obviously to be able to move left, right, up, down, that sort of thing. Here's a cockpit. You need to have at least one cockpit for you to sit in and fly from. This is a battery. You either have a battery, or you can have a solar panels, or some sort of way to generate power to power the ship as you're going. So if we put a battery on it, we have to charge it from some other means, but then it'll provide power to the ship. This here is a hydrogen tank. The ship will need a hydrogen tank to store hydrogen in it to run these hydrogen thrusters on. This here is a large cargo container. A cargo container on the ship to store all the resources in that we're picking up. These are small conveyors. These convey the hydrogen to the thrusters. They convey resources to the cockpit, to the connectors here, which link it back to the station. So you need these to move all the resources around the ship. And then here are the drills, and obviously we're going to have a few drills in the front which we use to mine with. Yeah, so I'm going to put together a bit of a time lapse now of me building the ship, and yeah, I'll come back to you once we've got a ship built. So I finished off the main bulk of the ship. I've got all the important elements in there now: the drills, cargo containers, thruster, or one thruster at the back. Now I need to come back and put the rest of the thrusters in, along with any armor blocks that we want to give it some shape. So I'll keep doing that. there we go. We've added the small drilling ship to our collection. And let's go use it now to collect some ice. So what I'm doing is I'm just turning my inertial dampeners off, so that when we thrust, we now just glide through the air. The gravity of the moon's trying to bring us back down, but it's quite slow, so every now and then I just thrust up to keep our altitude. And here's the ice. When we get there, I'll turn the dampeners back on just so we can hover, and we can start to drill some ice. In the bottom right of the corner, there's the 97 across from the H2. That's our hydrogen tank's capacity, or how much the hydrogen tank's currently filled up. So as long as that's staying high, we know we've got plenty of hydrogen for our thrusters. Here we go, just turn the drills on, and we can just drill into the ice. Now if I open up the inventory, over here, got a large cargo container, which we've got here. See, it's already filling up with ice, which is really good. So we've got the two cargo containers, and then the hydrogen tank on the back. It's not the greatest looking ship, but with those, we need these big bulky cargo containers and stuff on it, so there's not much we can work with at the moment. I'm sure in the future we'll make better looking ships, but yeah, I'm just going to collect a ton of ice, so we're set for a while, and then I'll come back to you. Yeah, so from one trip, filling up the containers of that drilling ship fully, we got 78,000 ice, which is pretty good. So I'm going to do a few trips like that and get a good store of ice saved up, so we can turn our generators on, generate a bunch of power, and then we don't have to worry about it for quite a while. Yeah. We're just flying back now to land. I'll show you the process I do when I... Oh god, I'm going to overshoot. Alright, that was pretty close. So because we're full of ice, we're very heavy. So we're a lot slower now to move compared to when we're empty. And you definitely don't want to crash, they're going to be nice and slow. Got our connector on the back, we just line them up. Slowly come down, there we go, they connect. And then we connect. Unload. I've just been collecting a bunch of resources, so I've got heaps of iron now saved up, a few of the other resources, and we keep running out of ice. This ship goes through quite a bit of hydrogen, so I've had to do a few more trips of gathering up ice, so we're currently processing that and storing that in our hydrogen tank and then the ships. That's going to be about it for this episode. In next episode, I might start on the large drilling ship. This small drilling ship, although it's pretty good, it's definitely nowhere near good enough. We're going to need a lot more resource than what this thing here is capable of drilling, of mining. So I'm going to make a start on the large driller at the start of next episode. And yeah, if you liked this episode, please leave a like, and hopefully I'll see you in the next episode.